Rapaziada, como é que vocês estão? Sejam bem-vindos, vamos aí a mais um episódio de Granblue Fantasy Relink. E neste episódio nós vamos acompanhar os episódios do Destino de Eugen. Então, antes de mais nada, vamos ao nosso pequeno top padrão. Pega um vídeo, petisco, chama os amigos e bora se divertir. Mas antes, deixa que ele já encaquece o coração. Se não for inscrito, já aproveita e se inscreve. Bora lá. Apesar de ser assombrado pelo passado, o velho guerreiro ainda tem muita força de luta. Antes um mercenário, agora serve como aeroviajante, e sua experiência de jornadas pelos muitos céus é uma dádiva para a tripulação. Muito astuto, Eugen frequentemente intriga os outros com os ditados acumulados aos anos de experiência. E a gente fez o prólogo, o episódio 1, 2, 3... E o 4, que era na defesa de horda, que a gente teve que pegar um item. Descanse em paz. Vamos lá. A amiga de Karzeda amava flores. O sonho dela era fazer com que brotassem no solo árido de Temporal. Karzeda pede a Eugen que procure as ferramentas de jardinagem dela nas minas, que foram tomadas por goblins. Nada que a tripulação não dê conta. Eles encontraram as preciosas ferramentas e devolveram para Karzeda.
Just as we arrived at the cemetery, the clouds opened up, unleashing a torrent of rain. The blue sky was gone, painted over by a steely, unforgiving gray. Looking around, I saw that there were others paying their respects at different plots. Like Karzeda, they probably lost loved ones to the storm. As soon as he laid eyes on the mound of earth in front of him, the dam broke. Karzeda's shoulders heaved with his sobs.
Why did I say those awful things? There were so many more important things I wanted to tell you, but
He sank to his knees, crippled with grief. His fist beat at the earth, sending drops of muddy water splashing onto his face.
I didn't want that to be our last conversation. If I hadn't blown up, if we hadn't fought, I only wanted to see you smile, but I made you cry.
All I could do was watch over Karzeda as he poured out the feelings he'd held back for so long. Let it out, son. It's the only way to get through it.
Nunca se desentenda. Se desentender, tente se entender depois. Eugen acompanha Karzeda até o cemitério. Karzeda cai aos prantos ao ver o túmulo da amiga. As lágrimas se misturam à chuva caudal. Eugen deixa o homem despejar seus arrependimentos e frustrações, sabendo como isso é essencial ao processo de cura.
After the visit, we made our way to a tavern. We could hear the rain beating down on the establishment. It was still day, but the sky was dark as night. Karzeda ordered the stiffest drink they had and downed it in one gulp.
My friend once showed me a flower and said that each one symbolizes something. At the time, I didn't get it, and I had other things in my mind, so I never bothered looking it up.
He shook his head, saying that he'd wished he had treasured those small, everyday moments with her. Each word struck me like a blow, reminding me of my own failures.
How am I supposed to live with this regret? It's like the storm outside, hounding on me until I give in and let it sweep me away.
I mulled over his question for a while before opening my mouth. I'm not the right person to answer that. Only your friend
Resposta
knows.
difícil.
But how? She's...
So I told Karzeda about my wife, and about the agony of losing her. All the things I'd hoped for, things we could do as a family, were no longer possible. The chasm of remorse threatened to swallow me whole. I couldn't imagine things getting better. Not then, not ever. But I was still alive. Unlike my wife, I still had a future. Didn't that obligate me to move forward, to find meaning in being left behind, and try to fulfill what she wanted for me. Didn't that apply to Karzeda? You want me to go with you? To find that flower, I mean? Maybe finding it would give him the answers he needed.
Oh, ganhou um pouquinho de HP. Todo mundo tá ganhando um monte de HP, que você ganhou pouco. Karzeda pergunta a Eugen como ele pode viver com seus arrependimentos. Eugen decide lhe contar sobre a morte da esposa. O velho aeroviajante sugere que Karzeda poderia virar a página ao descobrir o que a amiga dele queria realizar.
Do you think we can find the flower? That sounds like a good idea.
Karzeda spoke haltingly, as if remembering the times he shared with his beloved friend. She'd always loved flowers. Tempil was a land forged by its mines, and its climate wasn't suitable for flowers. But that wasn't going to stop her. As if that thread of memory had unspooled another, Karzeda said that his friend mentioned having a secret flower garden. But she hadn't told him the location, so he wasn't sure where to begin looking.
Sometimes she'd head out to a forest near Folka. If the garden's anywhere, it's probably somewhere in there.
It might be a long shot, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try. I drained the last of my glass. We stepped out of the tavern. The rain had stopped. The air was humid, but the sun was a welcome sight after the rain. I squinted up at the brilliant blue sky. There, arcing over the forest, was a large rainbow.
Agora sim ganhou um HP bom. Episódio 8. Opa, vai ganhar slot. O sonho da amiga de Karzeda era encher Temporal de flores. Ele sabe que ela tinha um jardim secreto onde testava métodos de jardinagem, mas não sabe onde pode estar. Eugen e Karzeda seguem para a floresta no limiar de Folka em busca de pistas. Você vai ter que jogar como Eugen. Ok.
We took our first steps into the forest. There's something about the woods after it rains. The air's so pure and refreshes the spirit. I had a good feeling we'd find that garden in no time. My optimism didn't last long. We spent hours searching every single likely spot, and a lot of unlikely ones too. Yet the garden eluded us. If it was here, it was tucked away somewhere really obscure. While we searched for those flowers, I made sure to keep tabs on Karzeda as well. The sun might have come out, but his expression was still clouded. He looked like he was on the verge of breaking down. I figured I should say something to try and shore up his spirits. I told him that no matter how harsh things are now, or how bad some days will be, there's always meaning in getting up each day, even if it takes some time to find it. Sometimes a search will take you back the way you came. Sometimes it's a detour, but even that has meaning, because the answer could lie off the beaten path. The important thing is to take things 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day at a time. Even regret, though it seems as tall and foreboding as a mountain, might become a gentle hill you could walk over, given enough time. I know what it sounds like, but I wasn't just telling him this to make myself feel better. It's just... sometimes, you have to run when the going gets tough, and that's fine. Just as a ship needs a port in a storm, a soul needs a safe harbor. Turning your back on your problems isn't the solution. No one knows that better than me. But we're allowed to make mistakes. That's part of the journey, and what it means to be alive. At some point, we have to settle up with the demons inside of us and learn to live with them. I've been skyfaring long enough to trust my gut, and it says we'll find that garden.
Thank you. If only I knew what she was growing.
We'll know once we find it. Just stay close to us, okay?
E toma cuidado.
Let us carry this passion forward.
Tua vez agora. Eu espero que eu não tenha que enfrentar chefe sozinho, porque esse daqui também tá com um pouquíssimo up. Se obteve a vara de proteção contra feras. Não. Segura sem querer.
Another scented stick.
Vara de proteção contra feras.
There sure are a lot of sticks lying around. How'd they get like this? Keep your eyes peeled. The garden ought to be nearby.
This is the place. I know it. But it's
Tá meio... É, porque ela não tá mais cuidando, né? Ela não tá cuidando, ele não sabe onde que ficava.
Monsters are really going to town. First things first. We fight. Get back, Cartman.
Foi? Foi. Não, ainda tem mais.
A flyer. Nothing me and my gun can't handle. How about no? Now then.
Pera aí. Acabou? Não.
Seize victory!
take this.
They're mine.
Rest until we've won.
Understood.
Let's erase that.
Here's some support.
Pronto.
This should whittle you down. You like that? Here's a little
Tony.
favor. Watch my back.
Got you covered.
Gave him hell, Captain.
Easy enough.
Caramba, ele tá com uma arma muito fraca.
Got him.
Let's go.
Ainda bem que a gente tem o resto. Quer dizer, tirando a Charlotte, que a Charlotte a gente não pôs a arma também, não. Charlotte eu nem peguei direito ela. Criaturinha.
You all right, Carzeta? Come on. Pull yourself together.
Uhum. Recomponha-se, vamos arrumar isso. Vamos arrumar essa bagunça.
People weren't the only ones who lost their homes to the storm. Monsters that were driven from their former territories flocked to the woods surrounding Folka. We finally found the garden, but the monsters had trampled a good chunk of the flowers, leaving behind only a few pathetically wilted survivors.
Sim.
Carzeta stared at the carnage, dumbstruck. I couldn't blame him. It's not like the monsters had done it on purpose, but they might as well have stampeded over his broken heart. I'm no gardening expert, but even in their sorry state, I could tell that the flowers had been well cared for.
Sim.
Fertilizer, spades, watering cans, and other tools were laid out. Inside one of the equipment boxes, we found a notebook with detailed records of all the flowers she had planted. The notebook had instructions on how much fertilizer was needed to help the flowers take root in the mineral-loaded soil, the best time for planting, the names of the flowers, and what they symbolize.
Caramba.
I passed the notebook to Karzeda, who began reading it as if the secret to life was written in its pages. Maybe for him it was. The last page described another flower garden, separate from this one. With the notebook to guide us, we went in search of it. As we walked, I prayed for Karzeda's sake that the other garden was intact.
Que esse já era. Se bem que o resto das plantas acho que dava pra aproveitar. Recebemos outro selo.
Yes, can I help you?
Penúltimo, a promessa. Eugene e Karzeda encontraram um jardim secreto, mas os monstros pisotearam os canteiros de flores. Karzeda mais uma vez perde as esperanças em meio aos pedaços de ferramentas e plantas em decomposição. Eugene acha que o caderno cheio de anotações, registros botânicos e instruções de como chegar a um outro jardim. E será que vai dar certo? A gente consegue chegar lá? Olha que lindo! Olha isso.
We came to
Chegou.
a quiet clearing in the forest, devoid of any beasts. The only other presence besides us was a crisp breeze. Shafts of sunlight peeked through the trees that shaded the garden. I felt my breath catch in my throat as I took in the sight. Purple anemones bloomed, filling the entire clearing. Just looking at them, I could feel the tension drain from my body.
That's it. These are the flowers she talked about.
Karzeda opened the notebook. Flipping through its pages, he came to the section on anemones. Tears spilled down his cheeks as he read her notes.
I see. So that's what she was trying to tell me.
After a while, he pulled himself together and turned to me.
Thank you for everything.
I saw it through his tears and heard it trembling on his voice, a fledgling seed of hope.
If you hadn't come when you did, well, I never would have known what she wanted to tell me.
He smiled, a pure expression devoid of the previous darkness.
She dreamed of a Tempeel blooming with flowers. And I'll carry the torch. I'll make sure her dreams come true.
Glad to hear it. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other and you'll be fine. Karzeda placed a hand over his heart and closed his eyes, as though speaking to his beloved. Or maybe he was burning the sight of this garden in his mind's eye. Our time together came to an end, but I felt as if the storm clouds were truly gone, and in its place was a clear blue sky. Maybe part of the reason I was drawn to Karzeda is that I could sense that we shared something important. We both had regrets weighing us down. We made our share of mistakes. Still, there's no turning back time. All we can do is keep marching forward. Now that I think about it, just as I was there for Karzeda, there were a lot of people propping me up on my journey. I owe all those people my thanks. It's because of them that I stand here today.
E vamos ao último, Botões de Joia, capítulo final. Eugene e Karzeda chegam ao outro jardim secreto. Raios de sol se infiltram pelas copas das árvores, iluminando as flores roxas. Karzeda finalmente entende o que a amiga estivera tentando lhe dizer.
Dear Eugen, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done. Every now and then I hear news about you and your crew. I'm glad to hear you're doing well. I was finally able to get licensed as a full-fledged jeweler in Folka. I started creating pieces based on those purple anemones we saw. People love them. I can't make them fast enough to keep up with the demand. The proceeds from the sales go to organizations working to restore Tempeel to its former glory. Once we can go back home, I plan to create a large garden, just as she would have wanted. The promise we made as kids can't be fulfilled, but I plan to keep the promise I made to myself. I'll do it to bring her dream to life. P.S. I never did tell you what those purple anemones symbolize. According to her notebook, they mean, I believe in you. I'll wait for you. The next time you're in Folka, look me up. Until then, please take this pressed flower as a token of my gratitude.
Diário de um horticultor. Nova anotação descoberta. É tão legal quando dá tudo certo no final. A gente fica feliz, assim, aquece o coração. Mas enfim, espero que tenham gostado. Se gostaram, deixa aquele joinha que é só clicar, coloca um comentário falando que você achou. Compartilha com os amigos, que é muito importante. Se não for inscrito no canal, aproveita, se inscreve e ativa o sininho para receber a notificação dos próximos vídeos. Muito obrigado e até o próximo.